Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to this Friday morning discussion at the Empty Cloud Monastery. I am Ayyā Sobhana. Today we're going to talk about another sutta, which is related to the threefold training, or the gradual training. That is the training in Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the training in ethics, meditation, and wisdom. The sutta for today is the longer discourse at Asapura, Mahāassapurasutta. If you would like to read along on your own device, you could open up Majjhima Nikaya number 39. Let's begin by giving respect to the Triple Gem. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namassami. I mentioned that this sutta, the longer discourse at Asapura, is one of quite a few different suttas that present the gradual training in terms of the three aspects of Sila, Samadhi, Panya, ethics, meditation, and wisdom. And I would say perhaps this sutta differs from some of the others by elaborating the significance of liberation. So there's a fourth stage. So Sila, Samadhi, and Panya perhaps brings you right up to the gateway to full enlightenment. And then when you cross over the gate, then there's freedom, which is the fourth section for this training. There's not much given in background. So I've heard. At one time the Buddha was staying in the land of the Angas, near the Angan town named Asapura. There the Buddha addressed the mendicants. We don't even know very much at all about this town, the town of Asapura. He said, "Mendicants, people label you as ascetics or samanas. And when they ask you what you are, you claim to be ascetics. Given this label and this claim, you should train like this. We will undertake and follow the things that make one an ascetic and a Brahmin. In that way, our label will be accurate and our claim correct. Any robes, alms food, lodging, medicines, and supplies for the sick that we use will be very fruitful and beneficial for the donor, and our going forth will not be wasted, but will be fruitful and fertile." So this is a really great contemplation that every monastic has to do, to look within and see if they are really living up to this great tradition, if they've actually realized within, or if they're only giving an outer appearance or some kind of a show of being good, of being pure. It's said that if we accept alms food without having realized the noble fruit of this training, we are a debtor. We're borrowing, taking the food on credit, but then those who have realized can receive the food. And there's this aspect that the donations will be fruitful and beneficial in terms of making merit. Intuitively, I don't completely see it that way. There is a very definite, clear idea in Buddhism that there's more merit to be gained in giving to a person who is very pure, a person who has realized. So it's supposed to be that giving to a wicked person is less merit than giving to a good person. Giving to a monastic who's realized is better than giving to an ordinary person who hasn't realized anything. Giving to a Buddha is better than giving to an individual monastic. But then that particular teaching goes on to say, giving to the entire Sangha is more meritorious than even giving to the fully enlightened Sama Sambuddha. This is in the teaching that was given to the Buddha's stepmother, Gautami, when she was a laywoman, about the purification of alms. The survival of the Sangha for a long time has to do with this Dhamma surviving and being realized so that it's possible to hand down the teachings for a long time. And so in that way, whatever we do that's involved with preserving the stability, the longevity, and the purity of what teaching has been handed down to us from the Buddha, as long as possible, without any corruption, without misstating or misrepresenting, without forgetting or failing to practice sincerely and realize that's the thing that, in my mind, makes it a merit. This is a little bit different from teaching that I've heard of in Christianity, where I believe that Jesus said that if you give to the lowest, humblest, and most menial person, you give to me. So because of that, in the Christian tradition, there's a pretty strong quality of giving to beggars, giving to alcoholics, giving to prisoners on death row who are criminals, helping the very lowest of the low with some kind of idea that they're following the teaching of Christ in that area. So for us, we don't quite have that training, but we do have another training that generosity should be like a monsoon that goes everywhere and goes in all directions for everybody. So then the lowest of the low are included in that kind of full outpouring of generosity. I want to say that in case somebody has some kind of a question or doubt in your mind about the idea of it being more fruitful to give to a true ascetic, a true Brahmin, than other kinds of giving. So now the pattern that he follows is the Buddha gives a list of trainings to be developed. And I'll show you the pattern on the first one. This is the beginning of Sila, or ethics. You should train like this. We will have conscience and prudence. And the pattern is, a mendicant might think, we have conscience and prudence, this is enough has been done. We've achieved the goal of life as an ascetic. There's nothing more to do. But that's not correct. There's more to do. And so for each one of these trainings, he gives the same format of the question that you have to consider that it's not yet enough. There's still more to do. Conscious non-prudence is hiri o tapa. Conscience, hiri, used to be translated as shame, but I think it's much better to translate it as conscience. It's not to think, oh, I feel so terrible and shameful and miserable and unworthy about doing a bad thing or having a bad thought. Instead, it's something that is not a bad kind of a pride, but a self-respect. If you think, other people may kill, but I do not kill. Other people may steal, but I do not steal. So my conscience is having the clarity about the precepts that I've undertaken, and then letting the conscience protect me from falling off of those. And then the prudence is more related to seeing the results, and in terms of steering our ethical behavior to make it effective, thinking if something is at the right time in the right place, and being aware of what the result will be. That will be an example of prudence. So a professional diplomat who works for the government is supposed to be extremely prudent, because they are negotiating with foreigners, with other governments that may or may not be hostile to them, and they have to decide like how much to say, how much to disclose, what to not say, what to say, keeping themselves truthful as an honest broker, but also really using a lot of discernment in how to carry themselves. So that's prudence. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, you should train like this. Our bodily behavior will be pure, clear, open, neither inconsistent nor secretive. And we won't glorify ourselves or put others down on account of our pure bodily behavior. And the same thing for verbal behavior, mental behavior, and livelihood. Inconsistent is literally meaning full of holes. So this is why I don't like the bumper sticker that says that once you do random acts of kindness, because that implies that sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, just every once in a while you do an act of kindness. That would be full of holes. But to be consistent, every act you do would be an act of kindness. That would be the consistency. And then the idea about secretive has to do with something being hidden or covert. And in that case, especially what one does in private should be the same as what one do in public. So what one would acknowledge doing in public is the same that one would do in private. So if you want to feel good about acknowledging it to your friends, then you shouldn't do it. There's a little story about the teacher asks a group of children, students, to go out and steal something in the village but be sure that nobody sees them. And all the students go out in a competition and they try to steal things that way without getting caught. And one student comes back with nothing. And when questioned, that last student said, well, I would see me if I stole something. And so that was the student that got the blue ribbon. So that's what this training is about. Having that openness, daylight, sunshine of this is also why it's so great to have good companions. If you have a companion who's trustworthy and kind, who you would be able to disclose with complete honesty what's up with you. And if you had a fault, you could acknowledge the fault, and your companion would understand and support you in coming out of that fault. So having companions like that make it possible to have this pure behavior. But if you have companions who sort of like almost intentionally misunderstand you, and they blame you for things that are not really blameworthy, and they are confused about their values and so forth like that. So that's the second training. Third training, we will restrain the sense doors. When we see a sight with our eyes, we won't get caught up in the features and details. If the faculty of sight were left unrestrained, bad, unskillful qualities of covetousness and displeasure would become overwhelming. For this reason, we practice restraint. We protect the faculty of sight. We achieve its restraint. In the same way with all the five senses and with the faculty of the mind. When we think a thought with the mind, or when we have a perception with the mind, we don't get caught up in the features and details. When we make a plan with the mind, we don't get caught up in the features and details. When we have a memory in the mind, we don't get caught up in the features and details. Now, the main guideline here is this idea of becoming overwhelmed with avijja and with covetousness and displeasure. So you need to be mindful to some degree. Even though we're still just at the preliminary stage, you don't have all the mindfulness you'll develop when you get into the samadhi stage, but you need to be reflecting on your inner state of mind and knowing whether greed and aversion are present in you and whether they become overwhelming. If you are able to look at something without becoming overwhelmed in that way, then you may look at it. If you can go to the beach and look at the ocean, you might be able to look at the ocean all day long, and greed and aversion do not overwhelm you. So that's a kind of like a safe thing to look at. If you go on to Google and you start shopping on Google and you see all the different items they want to sell you, then greed might overwhelm you. Or if you look at the news, aversion might overwhelm you. So you have to be careful how far to go. Just go far enough that you're able to, and still keep that detachment so the bad qualities don't overwhelm the mind. And if the bad qualities do overwhelm the mind, then don't look at that. Stay away from that which you're not yet able to manage without being overwhelmed. So that's one of the very first important trainings for a monastic. Then the next one is you should train yourself. We will not eat too much. We will eat only after developing wise reflection about the food. Namely, we will not eat for fun, indulgence, adornment, decoration, only to sustain the body, to avoid harm, to support spiritual practice. In this way, we put an end to old discomfort without giving rise to new discomfort, and we have the means to keep going, blameless, in a comfortable abiding. This is the reflection on the food that the monks always recite before taking the food, and there are similar reflections before taking medicine, before using the lodging, or before using the robes, in order to develop that patisankha yoniso, the wise reflection, looking. Actually, it's interesting, this expression patisankha yoniso. So the root of it is ka, which refers to a type of speech. And pati is like a reverse, like in the mirror. And so I believe that in this example, with these examples, it's like you give yourself a talking to. You talk to yourself and you remind yourself about what is the training that you've undertaken. I think that's what it means. In this case, there's another way about patisankha yoniso, because the yoni, it means looking at the origin of something or looking deeply about where something is coming from. And so that would be a different kind of reflection. So if you're taking food, you could say, where does this food come from? How many insects had to die to make this food? How many forests were ruined in the making of this food? How many laborers had to labor and sacrifice their energy and their health to make this food? How much effort, and then how much generosity came about by the people who give the food? And so that yoniso, in a way, is reflecting to realize the interdependence about it. So that's two different ways to think about that training. Then the next training is, this is still within the sila aspect, so it's a little bit external, not yet within, or not yet entering into samadhi. Or we could say the sutta that we discussed on Wednesday of this week was Digha Nikaya 10, the Mahāassapurasutta. And in that sutta, the training was grouped into these three different sections that were distinct. In this sutta, it's just giving the whole list. It's not putting them into the groupings. So this is a training that is about meditation. We will be dedicated to wakefulness when practicing walking, sitting meditation. By day, we purify the mind from obstacles. So that would be, especially for the monk, usually in the morning they go for the alms, and then after receiving the alms and cleaning up after the alms food, then that's time for the afternoon to spend in sitting and walking meditation, purifying the mind from obstacles, from hindrances. But then don't stop. At the end of the day, don't stop. In the first watch of the night, continue practicing walking and sitting meditation. So don't give up the cushion, keep going. So the first watch is from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock. And then in the middle watch of the night, you can lie down in the lion's posture on the right side, placing one foot on top of the other, mindful and aware, putting in the mind the time of getting up. And the middle watch of the night in this training is from 10 o'clock at night until 2 o'clock in the morning. Then in the last watch, get up again and continue practicing walking and sitting meditation, purifying the mind from obstacles. So that's this next training. Depending on your metabolism, the kind of work you do and your age, it might not be that easy to do with such a short amount of sleep. I'm noticing I'm getting older, and I'm noticing in my old age it's much easier to do with less sleep. If you're on a retreat, if you happen to be able to stay awake during the night, don't think, oh, I need to get all my sleeps in order to cope with things tomorrow. Instead, stay awake longer if you can. And then when you do sleep, make it a power nap. So you really rest, you really go down when sleeping. And then if it turned out that it was not quite enough sleep for you, well, tomorrow you can always get some more rest if you need to. That's when somebody's on a retreat. But if you have to go to the office or attend a lot of meetings and do a lot of activities and trainings and be running from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night with a lot of activities and events, then you may need to have more than 4 hours of sleep. But for a monastic, at least the Buddha emphasizes don't sleep too much. Then the next training, I'm up to number 6. We will have situational awareness and mindfulness. This is otherwise called mindfulness and clear comprehension, sati sampajanya, being aware of our purpose, suitability, not giving up our mindfulness, and being aware that everything we're undertaking is impermanent and impersonal. And we keep this awareness going all through the day. Going out, coming back, looking ahead and aside, bending and extending the limbs, wearing the robe. This would be typically like going for the alms round, eating, drinking, chewing, tasting, urinating and defecating, walking, standing, sitting, sleeping, waking, speaking, keeping silent. All through this time, we keep this mindfulness going. Now, I'm coming to the section about samadhi. And here, this sutta has got such beautiful metaphors. I want to take enough time to enjoy and savor the wonderful metaphors in this sutta. Abandoning the hindrances is the beginning of the meditation process. So it says here, first, the mendicant comes to the secluded lodgings, the wilderness, root of a tree, the ravine, the secluded place for meditation. Then, after the meal, returning from the alms round, they sit cross-legged with their body straight. They establish mindfulness in front. That means like mindfulness is the foremost thing. And they give up and cleanse the mind from each of the 5 hindrances. They give up covetousness for the world, ill will and malevolence, dullness and drowsiness, restlessness and remorse, and they give up doubt, having gone beyond doubt. They keep their mind pure of covetousness, cleansed of covetousness, full of sympathy and loving kindness for all living beings, without dullness and drowsiness, perceiving light, mindful and aware, then making the mind peaceful. This is by the developing of contentment, making the mind peaceful inside. So the pleasant and unpleasant contacts that happen during the meditation could be a cause of restlessness. So part of giving up that restlessness is that you've been trained to be equanimous towards the three kinds of feelings. So whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, you just see them all without disturbance. And then the other aspect is this aspect of remorse. So if the mind is especially full of ill will or full of greed, it's those states of mind, the ill will and greed, that would have led to the mental, unskillful, unwholesome mental deeds, planning to commit murder because you're full of ill will, or planning to hurt your enemies because you're full of ill will, planning to take something that doesn't belong to you because you're full of greed, planning to seduce somebody against their wishes because you're full of greed. So as long as, even if you were able to avoid the bodily or the verbal behavior, if you still have the greed inside, then that's sort of like the transition between sila and the mental purification. And when the sila is really pure, when you've throughout the day rid yourself of those kinds of deeds and throw away any kind of thought like that as soon as you know about it, then you won't have remorse when you come to meditation. Maybe I won't go into a lot of length about this next set of metaphors because we just talked about them on Wednesday, and I want to leave plenty of time for the beautiful metaphors about samadhi. If you were in debt and you applied yourself to working and earning some money, and you paid off your debt, then you could pay off your loan and you wouldn't have to worry about it. And then joy and happiness will arise for you. So the freedom from this hindrance of greed is like that. Joy and happiness is a word for pamoja and somanasa. Pamoja is sometimes translated as gladness, and this is a kind of positive, uplifting, joyful state of mind, which is preliminary to the bliss that you get inside of the jhana practice. Elsewhere in the teaching about breath meditation, Anapanasati-sutta, they speak about knowing how to gladden the mind. So actually the whole realm of the ordinary, wholesome, good happiness that we can experience throughout our life, everything up to entering into jhana, that is under this category of pamoja. And this is a good, fruitful, positive quality to cultivate. It's nothing to do with sensual pleasures. And then somanasa is referring to mental or psychological happiness. And I think in this teaching they're excluding bodily happiness because the happiness that's happening in the material body can go like very easily. It can like trip over into sensual desire, into unwholesome greed. So when the lunch bell rings and I can smell the wonderful cooking that some donor has brought, then something in my amygdala realizes that very soon the body is going to be satisfied with food, and then the stomach starts to put out the juice for digesting, and the mouth begins to salivate, and the endorphins are pumped out into the bloodstream that makes me feel a materialistic, sensual pleasure in the anticipation of the food, and that energized my animal nature to be willing to get up off the cushion and stop talking to you and to go and receive the alms food. And it even makes it very easy to be like unmindful and just stuff the body with food. That's like the animal happiness. And so that's like when they talk about sukha samanasa, that sukha sort of includes that like animal happiness. So this is making clear this is like the samanasa pamoja is a pure happiness. It's not part of the animal pleasure. Okay, so then aversion or ill will is treated as somebody who's sick. They lose their appetite. Even hearing the Dhamma, they can't enjoy it because of being full of ill will. Even somebody does you a favor, you can't feel grateful because you're full of ill will. Even if you hear a Dhamma talk, you can't enjoy it because you're full of ill will. So they say that, so that's ill will. And when you get out of that, you'll have joy and happiness. Then the dullness and drowsiness is like being locked in jail. So even if there's a Dhamma talk going on and you can't hear it because you're locked up, and everybody else went to the Dhamma talk and they come back and say, what a great talk, I liked it so much. And you can't say anything because you didn't hear it because you were in jail. So it was the same thing if you dozed off and went to sleep during this talk. You won't be able to remember it. So when you're awake and bright, then you can be joyful. Their restlessness is like being a slave or a bond servant. You got to jump every time the boss says jump. So every time you have a pleasant feeling, you got to jump. Every time you have an unpleasant feeling, you got to jump. Every time you have a neutral feeling, you got to go to sleep. And so this is like being a victim of your feelings and being a victim of restlessness. So when you don't have to, then you're your own person. You may choose when to jump and when to sit. That's being free of restlessness. And the last one is doubt. If you're a merchant and you've got all your merchandise that you're taking to market, and as you cross the wilderness, you get lost, and you don't know which way to go, then you can't go in any direction. You're stuck because of doubt, not knowing which way to go. So those are those metaphors. So when the five hindrances are given up inside themselves, Mendicant regards this as freedom from debt, good health, release from prison, emancipation, a place of sanctuary from danger. They give up the five hindrances, the corruptions of the heart that weaken wisdom, and then enter jhana. Quite secluded from sensual pleasures, from unskillful qualities, entering the first jhana, with rapture and bliss, born of seclusion, while placing the mind and keeping it connected. That's placing it connected to the theme of meditation. They drench, steep, fill, and spread the body with rapture and bliss born of seclusion. There's no part of the body that's not spread with rapture and bliss born of seclusion. My idea here is, it is a very useful way of meditation to have the awareness encompassing the entire body, so that every molecule in the body is filled with awareness. We sometimes see this in terms of doing a mindfulness with the touch, like that scanning meditation, that you're aware of the sensations, touch sensations in the body, and you keep doing that practice and until every neuron that's receiving a sensation is like waked up, and then open it up so that instead of like narrowly in one part, then you're including the whole body. In other case, with loving kindness practice or the Brahma Viharas, there's a pleasant feeling associated with loving kindness, that it starts as a mental feeling, but also can be experienced in the body. Like there's a bodily feeling that's like secondary to the thought of loving kindness, and using that feeling as a learning sign, one can internally saturate the body with loving kindness, and that it's kind of like preliminary to going out and externally letting the kindness spread in all directions. There's another way of thinking of it, that this kaya that's being referred to is actually the body and the mind together. It's the whole everything that can be experienced. So the body and mind, Namarupa, is together, and the mind is aware of the body because of the touching of all the points of the contact. And so the body and mind are both present through that touching of the contact. And then there's the whole entire realm of everything to do with mentality is all included in this jhana, with this spreading of rapture and bliss, so that the whole space of meditation is full. It's like when a deft bathroom attendant, here comes the first beautiful metaphor. A bathroom attendant or their apprentice pours bath powder into a dish, sprinkle it little by little with water, and then knead it until the bath powder is soaked and saturated with moisture, spread through inside and out, so the bath powder is absorbing more and more of the moisture, so it's completely pervaded with moisture, and yet no moisture oozes out. So it's taken in the moisture, but the moisture is remaining inside. And so this is both this idea of pervading, but also that this jhana practice is begin to come, bringing it with you, bringing it inside like that. Then the next metaphor is when placing the mind and keeping it connected, that's vitaka vichara, are stilled. Then the mendicant stays in the second jhana that has rapture and bliss born of immersion with inner clarity of mind and the mind at one. This is called unification of the mind without thought. So in this case, directing the mind towards the theme of meditation is become like too much agitation, or like a kind of a busyness, a kind of a disturbance, and you get tired of that, and then that just like drops away, and then there's just that stillness. And in this case, there's still this idea of the body spread with rapture and bliss, which I'm going to claim is the body-mind, is the total phenomenon that's experienced. It's not, don't make a separation between body-mind in this case. It's the kaya means a group, or the core. It's like a deep lake fed by spring water, no inlet to the east, west, north, or south. And the heavens are not bestowing showers from time to time. So that would be like what's arising, what would have been arising from the touch with the senses of touching external objects, sight, sounds, and so forth. So those touches or those contacts are not operating in the second jhana, but a stream of cool water welling up in the lake. So there's a spring at the bottom of the lake, drenches, steeps, fills, and spreads throughout the lake. There's no part of the lake that's not spread through with cool water. So what's coming up from within, it has the quality of purity. So spring is something that's pure, water is pure. It has purified defilements. And it still continues to have that quality of pervading. Then in the third one is the rapture, the PET, the excitement, fades away. PET is a special kind of powerful, pleasant experience that comes up within jhana or within samadhi. That's usually how we think of it. So that strong mental pleasure of PET becomes like too much agitation, too much business, you don't want it anymore. And so the mind just lets that go. And then you're left with calm, happiness, and equanimity begins to arise as being a stronger aspect. So there's equanimity, mindfulness, and awareness. Personally experiencing that bliss, of which the noble ones say, equanimous and mindful. One meditates in bliss. So that equanimity and mindfulness are coming up together. So what does it mean to be mindful inside of meditation? Sati. That means you're not in a stupor, you're not in a blackout, you're not unconscious. Instead, you're fully conscious, fully clear. And especially the mindfulness is the mirror that's able to look within and to be aware of the inner state. So you know exactly where you're at in the meditation. And the clarity of that knowing, of that mindful awareness is strengthened because of equanimity. So this is like compared with a pool, more water metaphors with blue water lilies, pink lotus, white lotuses. They sprout and grow in the water without rising above it, thriving underwater. So here's a lotus. It's completely inside the lake. From the tip to the root, they're drenched, steeped, filled, and soaked with cool water. There's no part of them that's not completely soaked with cool water. so that you've gone a little further inside the meditation. And then the last jhana, the last metaphor, without pleasure and pain, and without happiness and sadness. So this is both bodily and mental, positive and negative pain and pleasure. Then one enters into the fourth jhana, which is without pleasure or pain. It has the quality of neutral feeling quality. That's neither painful nor pleasure. That's neutral feeling, accompanied by equanimity. So equanimity is the faculty or the strength of the mind, which is not disturbed by anything. And then the equanimity is enhanced and made more prominent by the predominance of that neutral feeling. And then the equanimity and mindfulness reaches their maximum. This is like someone sitting wrapped from head to foot in a white cloth. There's no part of the body that's not spread over with a white cloth. What this means is you finished your swim in the lake. Your work is done as far as samadhi. And then you can come out to the beach and wrap yourself in a pure white towel, which is providing you with protection from the sun and from the insects or the mosquitoes and so forth. And you can enjoy that complete rest, complete satisfaction. So that's the meaning of that. The next step of this is a panya, which I think I may cover in more depth at a future talk. In this version, having been immersed in samadhi, the mind is purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, imperturbable. They extend it towards the recollection of past lives. They extend it towards the knowledge of the death and rebirth of sentient beings. They extend it, those two knowledges are not mandatory to be an arhat. There are qualities of a Sammasambuddha for sure, and some arhats have these qualities for sure, but those are not essentials. But this last one is an essential. They extend the mind to the ending of the defilements. This is the destruction of the asaras. And when the defilement is destroyed, then they are finally able to truly understand this is dukkha. This is the origin of dukkha. This is the cessation of dukkha. This is the practice that leads to the cessation of dukkha. This is where they have the proven, complete, direct knowledge, not based on hearsay, not based on inference, not based on logic, not based on having a little glimpse of a pattern, but actual full realization of the fullness of what suffering was, how it originated, how it has ceased, and the practice that leads to the cessation of dukkha. They understand these are the defilements, this is the origin of the defilements, the cessation of the defilements, the practice that leads to the cessation of the defilements. Knowing like this, their mind is freed from the defilement of sensuality, the defilement of the desire to be reborn, and the defilement of ignorance. They're free. They know they're free. They understand rebirth is ended, the journey is complete. What had to be done has been done. There's no more, nothing further for this place. So it's compared to being in a mountain glen where there's a lake which is transparent, clear, and unclouded. Now, in this case, the viewer is not swimming in the lake, but standing above the lake, looking at the lake from outside of it. A person with clear eyes would see the clams and mussels, the pebbles and the gravel, and the schools of fish swimming about or staying still. The lake is transparent, clear, unclouded. They can see every detail so clearly. So this is the panya of the arahant. This is one who can actually be called an ascetic, a Brahmin, a bathed initiate, a knowledge master, a scholar, a noble one, a perfected one. So that is all my discourse. And here we have, oops. I just saw a whole lot of chats and then they stopped. They disappeared. And try to push that button. Try to push this button. This is private chat. I don't want private chat. There we go. So welcome everyone. Here's some questions from Sud. What about giving over distances? Since 2022, I've donated monk cutting requisites, installed clean water services, bought 10 air cooling units, donated many food donuts. I never was physically present and had to utilize kindness of the local upasakas to help me give them. Have I made merit? Yes, of course you've made merit. And when your upasaka on your behalf completed the process, it's like closing the link on an electrical circuit. And when on your behalf those goods were touched by the monastic sangha, then you could say the light bulb went on. This is why it's such a wonderful privilege for upasakas to be able to give donations on behalf of donors far away. So we've come to the 9 o'clock hour, and I thank every one of you for your patient listening today. I hope you may read this sutta and be inspired and motivated to pursue these practices. So we close with saying sadhu, 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 anumodami.